Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today I have a nice easy treat holder tutorial for you. Over the last couple of years I've done a demo day with Cool Katz crafts after their album workshops, and in July I'm hoping to do it again. So I've always had on the table, just to sweeten up the participants, a little treat holder gift for them to take with them. And it's always been a Lindt holder, and this year will be no exception. So if you do come in July, you'll be able to help yourself to one of these. And they open up and they have a Lindt matched in there. So yeah, so I've matched the colour there. And pop it down. And the green one, did I put a green one in? Let's have a look. Yes, I did. So we've got these little treat holders, and these are probably the easiest ones or the quickest ones I've done so far. They're the least time consuming, and they don't use any special equipment apart from a scoreboard and a trimmer. So I've seen these made before, but they've always been larger and big rectangles. So I've really jiggled with the measurements to make this small mini version just to hold the one Lindt. So they're affordable and also really cute and quick to make. So you do manage to get 6 of these from one sheet of 12 by 12, and I'm using the Wild and Free today. You can see I've used the Wild and Free patterns and solids, and because they're striped ones, I've got some vertical, some horizontal. We've got the plains, we've got some of the pink in the floral, and some animal ones as well. So I thought, yeah, the patterns and solids worked great for this. And I've still got a sheet left, so I thought I'd use the brown one now to make some with you. So I've made some vertical ones. So I'm trying to make some horizontal ones just to add a bit of variety to it this time. So I said, that's all I'm using is my scoreboard and my trimmer to cut down the cardstock or the paper. But you could make it with cardstock and then decorate it with paper as well. But just using the paper just makes them so much quicker. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it down to 12 inches. I'm just getting rid of the marked and brand strip. There we go. Now, what I said I was going to do this time, I was going to do some horizontal ones, wasn't it? Because I did vertical this one. So if you've got a directional paper, you want to put the direction going sideways, if that makes sense. So it would be that way, would be the correct way up. Because this is a stripes, it doesn't really matter. So we're going to start first by having it the proper way up in our trimmer. And I'm going to cut it at 11 inches. So I'm just taking off this 1 inch strip. Now, the reason I'm taking off this 1 inch strip first is if you did make a cardstock one, 1 inch would be the mat and layers for covering this. It'd be a 1 inch piece. So that could be a way of making another one without using your papers. So that's 11 inches. I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to cut it at 3 3/4. So 1, 2, 3. So we do have that strip as well, which you could use to decorate the little small squares as well. So, you know, it doesn't have to be wasted. And then these 11 inch strips now, I'm going to cut in half at 5 1/2. As I said, these don't seem to have a direction because the text actually flips up and down. But what you want is, the way you have your paper is the direction you want, the orientation you want should be this way. So if you had text, you'd be able to read it left and right when you hold it this way. Like I said, this one's got text in both directions, so makes it a little bit easier because I can't go wrong, hopefully. There we go. So there I've managed to get 6. Don't worry, I'm not going to make all 6 today. We go, right. So first of all, I'm going to score it with the short end towards the top. Now, if you have got a directional paper and you've got it, this is the way up, the correct way up, you want to turn it anti-clockwise so the top of your paper is against the side. And we're going to score at 5/8 of an inch. We're going to score at 1/4. Oh, sorry, 1 1/4, not 1/4. 1 1/4 and 2 1/2. And then we're going to turn it back around. So the 5/8 one is towards the top. And we are going to score it at 1 1/4, 2 1/2, 3 3/4, and 5. So we're making 1 1/4 inch squares. And then I've got my 5/8 score line here. I'm going to score now down and stop at that score line. Let me fold it, see if it makes it a bit more visible. I'm going to do it one more time, and I'll do it on the reverse for you to be able to see it a bit better. 5/8, 1 7/8, so 2 go back 1. 3 1/8, so 3 and go across 1. And 4 3/8, so 4, 1, 2, 3. And I'm stopping at that first score line. So you can see I've created all these little mini squares. If the light catches them. Let's have a look. There we go. You can see them there. So I've taken all those 1 1/4 inch squares. I've scored it in half that way and then halved them again. So let's do that again, but this time let's do it on the plain side. So it doesn't matter which way around I'm going to do it this time. 5/8, 1 1/4. So you can see that's where the 1 1/4 squares would come, and that's it scored in half. 2 1/2. And to continue the squares would be 3 3/4 would be next, so which is why we cut our cardstock or paper to that size. Then turn it around. 1 1/4, 2 1/2, 3 3/4, and 5. So we have all our squares here with a little flap on the edge, and then I've scored that one in half again. And now I'm going to halve all these top ones again. So 5/8 of an inch, 1 7/8, which is 2 inches, go back 1, 3 1, so 3 inches, go across 1, 3 1/8, and 4 3/8. 4 is there, 1, 2, and 3. And just stopping at that first score line. Okay. So I'm going to put my scoreboard away, and I'm going to grab my ruler. Let's see if we can come in a little bit here so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so this is my 1/2 inch flap on the end. So I'm going to ignore that. And within this square, we've got 2 squares above. I'm going to take my scoring tool and put it in that upside down T shape where they cross. And I'm going to take my ruler and draw it a diagonal across to that flap. Let's bring it in. So you can see you had the squares, you can cut there. And what we're going to do is just repeat and do a diagonal line across each of these. So let's go from this one. It's there. Just diagonal and diagonal. And we've got another one to do. Now, I can't see it on this one, so I'm going to flip it over just to make it a bit easier for me to see. And hopefully it's a bit easier for you to see too. So my flap now is on the left hand side, but I'm going to follow the same rule. I'm going to go towards the flap. So I'm going this way this time. And we're just going from the center of each one down to the corner. Same direction every time, just one direction. We don't have to do triangles or anything like we've done in the past. So there we go. That is the scoring done. Let's just zoom out a bit. Let's come back to our pattern, plain one. So we're going to fold that flap back. Just to get my burnishing tool. And we are going to fold down each of these so that we get the start of our column going there. Then this bottom piece folds up because that's going to make the base. And this middle one will fold into a mountain as well, folding back. But the top one then is going to come back on itself, so I'm going to lift that up into a valley fold. So you've got a valley, a mountain and a mountain, and all the vertical ones are mountains. Then I'm going to work my way to the back, and I'm going to look for those diagonal lines, and I'm going to fold them just gently into a mountain. Now it doesn't have to be all the way and doesn't have to be sharp. It's just training my paper to go in the direction I want it to go later. So this is the front, it would be a valley. So I can just pinch them, but I just find it easier to go onto the back and make a little pinch to make the mountain fold. There we go. And then grab some nice strong tape, or you can glue it if you want. I just find tape is easier because it holds it straight away. And I'm going through that small squares, one, through the second small square, down the first, so I'm not bothering with the bottom one because we're going to do some cutting. So I'm going to cut the bottom rectangle, this long one, off, and I'm just going to make it into a tag shape. And then the other two score lines, I'm just going to do a tiny little V shape, like so. There we go. And then the last thing I'm going to do is each of these squares at the bottom, I'm going to cut up that score line. And stop at the bottom. So I've just cut 4 squares. So if you didn't catch anything, don't worry, I'm going to do it one more time. So this time I'm using the pattern side. The big squares are towards the bottom. The flap is off to my right. So let's just do the flap first. Fold it over. And we're going to fold each of these into a mountain so that we've got the patterned paper on the outside. And then the bottom one, I'm going to fold in on itself. And the top one, I'm going to fold into a mountain as well. And the top one, I'm going to fold back on itself to make my top. And then on the back again, I'm going to fold those diagonals, just pinching it to make a mountain. So just pinching the middle up. And that one as well. And now I'm just going to take my tape across the top. Don't need to bother with that bottom one because I am going to cut it off again. And I'm going to cut it off just as a little tab shape. And then the other 2 pieces, I'm going to cut a little V. And the other one is there. There we go. And finally, I'm going to cut up each of those bottom pieces. So we now have 2 of them scored, cut and taped. So we're ready to put it together. So I'm going to flip it over so I've got the correct side facing down. I'd fold one of the tabs across. Oh, I haven't cut that V. There we go. That just reduces the bulk and makes it fold easier by there. So I'm going to take off the tape. I'm going to fold this one across. And if we meet in the middle, it should line up nicely. There you go. So there's our box coming together. And this one, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm just going to bring it folded into the middle. So now my lines are going across. So, right. So before I do anything else, I'm going to open it. So this is the top. This is where our diagonal scores and things are. These are the square pieces on the bottom. I'm just going to open them up like a fan. I'm going to grab my glue and I'm going to glue 3. First gluing of the day, so it's a bit of gunk. There we go. We're going to put the glue just around the edges on 3 of my squares. So I'm going to start with the one which has no glue. I'm going to fold that in. And the one that's opposite it, I'm going to bring it towards it. Try and keep that square shape. It does do it well, to be fair. And then fold the other 2 in as well. Because there's glue on both of them, it'll stick it all down. Then just grab your bone folder and press them all down. Just do that one more time. Glue on 3 of our squares. The one without glue is where we start. Fold it over. And the one opposite brings it back. Then the other 2 we just fold in. And when you're doing a batch make of these, it has time to dry whilst you're doing the other ones. Here we go. Okay, so we have our box pretty much made. So all we've got left to do now is to close it. How do we do that? Right, so if I come towards you, we've got our diagonal score line here. You probably can't see it. There we are. Your diagonal score line there, and you've got each of these has been scored in half. So when you bring it here, you'll be able to make a cross shape. So first of all, what we're going to do is just pinch it into a cross. And then each of these now is a valley. So when you do your cross, those valleys will start to fold in on each other. It'll just naturally go into place like that. And that's it. That's all you need. So if you do need to work this way, sometimes they come together and they just fold. Yep, that one did. It went really easily into the position it wanted to be. And you're sort of training it to be like that. But if it's not, just take your nail and just press into those diagonal lines and just sort of tease it in to place like so. And they will eventually twist and close, which is why it's called the twist and close box. And that's it. That's all you need to do. You don't need to do any ribbon tying or anything. They just lock into place. So they just twist and they lock. And when you have them all together, they just look brilliant, and people can just sort of help themselves. You know, you can stack them next to each other together as well. But yeah, those are my Cool Katz Demo Day treats to hand out. My little twist and close boxes. I said they just hold one little Lindt or Lindor ball perfectly in there. So it's nicely sized And I said you get 6 out of 1 sheet, so they're quite economical too. So if you have enjoyed this, please give me a little thumbs up and a comment below. It is really helping my channel, so thank you for everyone who is starting to comment. It does mean a lot, especially for a small channel like mine. And yeah, hit that like and comment, and hit that subscribe button too. It does help. I can't stress it enough. So thank you everyone who has done so far. And if you do make some of these, please share pictures of yours in my Facebook group, link in description below, called Paper Crafting with Paul. So there'll be lots and lots of other people sharing their inspiration following my tutorials in there. And who knows, if you're heading to the demo day in Wansford to see the Cool Katz in July, you can grab yourself one of these as well. So hopefully I'll see some of you there. If not, I'll see you again back on my channel very soon. So for now, happy crafting.